Love it. All right. Well, let's go over to Drake May. Coming out of North Carolina, big arm of the guys who are likely to be drafted to become starters. I know Joe Milton is has a ridiculous arm that could probably throw it from one goal line to the other one. But Drake May has special arm talent. I don't know if I don't know for me personally if I put him in with Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, but I feel like he's kind of getting close. Didn't have great weapons this year. I think that kind of hurt him. But I mean, he's the prototype. He's 6'3", 6'4", 230 pounds. He with the rocket for an arm. What but is he going to be that guy at the next level? Even if he lands in New England, if he's the third one, where maybe he doesn't have weapons. But first, let me know what you think of him as a quarterback prospect.
Yeah, Drake, it's so funny because Drake has been going through the ringer a little bit out there in terms of people who like him, people who don't, and he's definitely getting that. As someone who does Devy or college football fantasy, I like Drake coming. Me and Christian Williams are pretty high on Drake as a freshman. And we were talking about Drake May as kind of being that guy. Like, hey, we like this kid. He didn't start as a freshman because he played behind Sam Howell. But we all just said, hey, he's the guy. And it was a little bit of a quarterback battle between Jacoby Criswell and Drake May his sophomore year. And me and Christian were like, nah, Drake May's the guy. And so we've kind of watched him and we've kind of looked at him as being that quarterback that we really liked. And he's developed a lot. For me, the strengths for him is he's very scheme versatile. So I love Drake May in a West Coast. I like Drake May in an air raid. He did play 90% of his snaps or something like that behind in a shotgun. So that's just typical college. It doesn't mean he can't play under center. But he's versatile because I don't think that I think he can succeed in any offense. And he's smart enough to do so. So like his pre-snap reads and intelligence is the best of the quarterback class. So his ability to have pre-snap reads, I think is better than Caleb. I think it's better than Jaden and JJ. I think that's where JJ also does well. But Drake is intelligent. So that, to me, that's a very positive kind of trait. Okay, hey, he can learn. He can kind of decipher. Now, Bryce was the same way last year too. So Bryce had that same ability, but then he landed where he didn't land somewhere that I think people liked a lot more than it should have had with, the Carolina Panthers. So that's the question, right? Like if he goes to Washington, I love it. Immediately, I think he does become like a QB 12 to 14 range in Dynasty just because I think they play to his strengths really well. Also, Drake, he can get into the numbers very quickly, but also in tight windows. You have to love that ball placement, everything there. The only thing that he doesn't do well, and this is a big red flag though, and I get subtweeted a lot about this because I bring it up a lot. Drake May struggles with his mechanics when he's under pressure. He does. And so his biggest thing, and you look at the PFF numbers, you go through it, like I've talked about it. When he is under pressure, he definitely struggles. So when facing pressure in 2023, he was 39 for 90, 43% completion percentage, only 600 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He had almost a 4% turnover-worthy play according to PFF, and he took 28 sacks. He struggles when facing pressure. And that I think is the big thing for me, the red flag of like, all right, is he going to be able to develop that? Because I've watched a ton of football. I'm old. I am old. Okay. We have seen quarterbacks who don't do well under pressure. And we've seen that, and they get the happy feet. He gets the happy feet. And what he does is when he kind of, it feels like almost when you watch him when he's under pressure, his top half and lower half get out of sync a lot. Like it's like, oh, he's rushing it. And he uses his arm strength and his ability at the top half to get the ball to where it needs to go. But sometimes that rushing it leads to those interceptions that you see. And he does have, 9 and 7 interceptions the last couple of years. So to me, even though he has that pre-snap intelligence, that reading defenses breaks down under pressure. And I think that to me is the number one red flag in his profile.
Yeah, I can see exactly what you're saying on that one, because that is, we've seen so many quarterbacks get destroyed because of the way they couldn't handle, defensive pressure. David Carr is the primary example right there.
Mm-hmm.
And, Sam Howell, by the end of the season, he wasn't even, they didn't want to start him anymore because because of the way he was handling the pressure. So no, I get it. And I mean, yeah, no quarterback does well when they're under pressure. I mean, by the end, Tom Brady, he just, and if anybody even got on the other side of the line of scrimmage, he was throwing the ball away. So no, I don't. Yeah, send them my way. Send them my way. I'll talk to them about quarterbacks not being able to handle pressure. So no, they got to get them into a good situation. Which, going into Washington, they're rebuilding. They got to rebuild their offensive line still.
Yes.
So that so much has to kind of become very important. New England, the same thing. So we'll see. I mean, but. Can you see him slipping past 3? I mean,
No.
Hard to see him slipping past 3. I mean, there's some people who got him. I think it was Nate Tice has him as his 1A, with Caleb as 1B. So it's interesting. There are definitely some Drake May truthers out there. So
and Brugler, Dane Brugler from the Athletic. He had May for a long time as his QB1, and then he's kind of flipped back and forth on that. I don't think there's always a QB that drops. We've watched the draft enough. There's always that guy that like, oh, wow, he didn't go. I don't think May's that guy. If I had to pick who it's going to be, I think it's Jaden. I think it's Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden's that guy like, oh my gosh, he's dropping. Why is he dropping all of a sudden? And then someone maybe moves up in the top half of the 15 picks or whatever, like top 15, and grabs him in that 10 to 15 range. Or maybe he's sitting there with Minnesota and they're like, yeah, we'll take Jaden Daniels at 11. Like that, I think is the guy that possibly has that most potential to drop. I don't think Drake May drops out of the top 3.